In this video, we are going to learn how to find a positive and negative coterminal angle for the angle that is given. Let's draw a sketch of negative 122 degrees. So here's a circle. All right, x-axis, y-axis. So everything we are going to do will be in standard position. So this is the initial side of our angle, and so the terminal side, this is a negative 122 degrees. So that tells us that we're going to be going clockwise from here. That's the negative direction. So if I went this far, okay, that would be negative 90 degrees so far. If I kept going and I went this far, that's negative 180 degrees. So negative 122 degrees is going to be somewhere between negative 90 and negative 180. So that means it'll be in the third quadrant. So I'm just going to throw an angle here into the third quadrant. I'm not going to worry about being really exact. So here is a sketch of my negative 122 degrees. Now a coterminal angle is another angle that will have the same terminal side. It'll land on the same spot. And an easy way to get a coterminal angle is to go all the way around a circle and back to where you started from. So that would be the same as adding 360 degrees. So if I take negative 122 degrees and add 360 degrees, I should get a coterminal angle, because that would be the same thing as starting here and going all the way around the circle and coming back to where I started from. So this will give me a coterminal angle. So that is 238 degrees. So that is a positive coterminal angle. We can get a negative coterminal angle by going the other way. So instead of adding 360 degrees, I'm going to subtract 360 degrees. Alright, that would be the same thing as starting from here and going in the negative direction 360 degrees back to where I started from. Alright, that is negative 482 degrees. So bottom line, if you want to find coterminal angles, you can add or subtract 360 degrees. Okay, so I won't bother drawing the picture this time. If I want coterminal angles, I can add or subtract 360. So if I do 184 degrees plus 360, and if I do 184 degrees minus 360, that should give me coterminal angles. Alright, so 544 degrees and negative 176 degrees are coterminal with 184 degrees. Okay, for number 3 and 4, we are going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it in radians. So instead of adding and subtracting 360 degrees, we are going to add and subtract 2 pi. Alright, because 2 pi represents moving all the way around the circle, just like 360 degrees. Alright, but if you're adding and subtracting and you're dealing with fractions, you really need like denominators. So let's think about what would 2 pi be if we wrote it with a denominator of 12. So that would be like doing this. 2 pi is like having 2 pi over 1. So if we need a denominator of 12, we would have to multiply by 12 in the numerator and the denominator. So that would be 24 pi over 12, which makes sense because 12 goes into 24 twice. So we want to add and subtract 2 pi, but because we need like denominators, we are going to add and subtract 24 pi over 12. all right, which is the same thing. So that's what we'll do. So to get a coterminal angle, we can do negative 19 pi over 12 plus 24 pi over 12. All right, got my like denominator, see what I mean? And to get a coterminal angle, a negative coterminal angle, I can do negative 19 pi over 12 minus 24 pi over 12. Again, I'm really just adding and subtracting 2 pi. I've just written it with a denominator of 12. All right, so this is how we can get our coterminal angles. So the coterminal angles are 5 pi over 12 and negative 43 pi over 12. Okay, let's do the same thing one more time with 13 pi over 4. So again, we can find coterminal angles by adding and subtracting 2 pi. But again, we need to write that in a form that has a denominator of 4 because we're going to need like denominators. So I'm going to multiply by 4 in the numerator and the denominator. So that's going to give me 8 pi over 4. So I can find my coterminal angles by doing 13 pi over 4 plus 8 pi over 4, okay, which is really I'm adding 2 pi when I do this. And I can get a coterminal angle by doing 13 pi over 4 minus 8 pi over 4. That's going to be interesting. All right, so look at what happens. When you add these, you get 21 pi over 4. So that is a positive coterminal angle. If I subtract 8 pi over 4, I'm subtracting 2 pi, basically. I got 5 pi over 4. Now, the problem is, yes, this is a coterminal angle, but it is another positive coterminal angle. We need a negative coterminal angle. So this happens sometimes. So that just means we need to keep going. So we need to go ahead and subtract 2 pi again. So in other words, I'm going to subtract 8 pi over 4 again. So sometimes you have to keep going to get to the negative or the positive that you're looking for. So we have negative 3 pi over 4 is our negative coterminal angle. So we actually found 2 positive coterminal angles. So we could have used the 5 pi over 4 as our positive coterminal angle instead of 21 pi over 4. It doesn't matter. They weren't specific like that, so we just needed one positive and one negative, so we found an extra one. All right, that's going to be it for this video. That is how you find positive and negative coterminal angles. On the next video, we are going to tackle reference angles. So I will see you on the next video.